How's it going, everyone? The Trout 91 here for the M1941 gameplay section of Gun in 60 Seconds. If you missed the actual class video and want something very quick to look at on how best to use this gun, you'll find the link in the description down below. Going on to the gun itself, I would say this is an okay gun, but a poor rifle. I don't think it should be classed as a rifle. I think its characteristics and qualities of it make it a poor rifle, and I'll get into that in a little bit. So as far as the rifles are concerned, I'd say this is probably a tier 3 weapon. I thought, actually it's not that bad, but then when I looked at all the guns in the game and all the guns in the rifle category, I'd actually say this is probably one of the worst rifles in that category itself. It's a shame because I really enjoy using this gun when it's working well and you've got a good connection and you're flowing, because a class like this that I like to run is very, very practical for what you get with it, but ultimately as a rifle, which you kind of are playing a bit more passive with it, it doesn't quite work out, and I'll explain that in a little bit. It suffers a bad connection, and for me it's outperformed by a number of different weapons in a 1v1 situation across quite a few ranges. I would say probably up close and personal it does the best out of the rifle class, but when you are using a rifle, it's meant to be played at more of a distance, making it not a particularly great rifle in that respect. But obviously that's why this video exists, is to help you kind of understand how to use it and when to use it. I recommend playing in an aggressive manner, like a submachine gun, as it does have the assets that closely link up with a submachine gun. You know, submachine guns, you think of them being mobile, you think of them being in your face, fast rate of fire, a little bit hard to control recoil, which is why you get up and close and personal, because that damage at close range is so good. It has a 25 bullet magazine capacity, which isn't the greatest, but it's enough to secure you 2 kills in most circumstances. You might be lucky enough to get a third off, but if you can't, that's why I usually use Hustle as my basic training, so I can get those quick reloads off. Extended mags I wouldn't say is a necessity, but obviously it does benefit you by the fact that you won't have to reload so often, and you can free up that basic training slot for something else that might be more useful to you, depending on your playstyle. As a weapon that's unlocked at level 1, I'd say it's fitting as a nice startup weapon. Will probably only require the first 3 starting attachments to get the most use out of it, which is why it's good to start off. A couple matches gone, you already have a pretty decent setup for yourself. Quick draw is great for snapping onto targets on quick notice. Grip helps you to control the recoil more, and the good thing about this is it's rather predictable, which means you can control it to an extent with some practice and getting used to it. I'm not a massive fan of the iron sights. They're not terrible. If you're playing up close and personal, you shouldn't really notice them, and maybe it's a waste of an attachment putting the sight on it, but the fact that it does have a bit of range to it and you can use it at some medium distances, it does help having that that sight on it to be able to pick people off, obviously. So I usually tend to use the reflex sight, especially as I use the infantry division, which lets me aim down sights and move a lot faster, which is always good. High caliber is a good option if you're thinking of switching out an attachment. Maybe you feel that one of them aren't really necessary. The increased headshot damage will help decrease the time to kill, and without sounding really noobish, that recoil can help you hit a headshot, or the flinch will inadvertently grab you one of those 3 headshots, giving you a lot more kills a lot more quicker and letting you be able to deal with things in a different manner. Steady aim could be great if you're a massive run and gun player, like really, really in people's face, but I think the hip fire accuracy is already good enough as it is. FMJ's weird on this game, and it's not super reliable. I think if you're getting close enough to opponents, you're not likely to need the wall penetration. I'm not even going to acknowledge the 4x optic, because I just think that's a complete travesty as it is with this gun. Rapid fire doesn't really affect the gun, as it has the best rate of fire in the rifle category, possibly even in the game. Extended mags is a solid option, not really one I feel you need if you're running Hustle, but ultimately if you're not running Hustle, you can use extended mags. It's probably wise to do so. If you're finding you run out of ammo quickly, it's definitely one to consider when it comes to shooting people. Maybe the accuracy is a bit too much for you. I thought advanced rifling would be a good attachment, but I really didn't find much use for it, and I think that's probably because of its low damage and because the high rate of fire needs to be controlled. You do have to slow down and pop fire your shots, which means that it won't get the best use of the gun, of the advanced rifling, because by the time you've got those shots off, someone's probably going to kill you with something like the STG or the bar. This gun's very sluggish and heavy to use, so for me the infantry is a no-brainer. You obviously get the rifle bayonet for those moments when you run out of ammo. An extra attachment slot, which is why I've got 3 on. Extra magazines, because you can run out of ammo very quickly on this gun. And moving faster whilst aiming down sights is a massive bonus. Being able to transition from slow passive play like a rifle and then switching to a submachine gun. So you don't have to run around every corner being caught out. You can actually prepare yourself a bit more, just like submachine guns have a faster aim down sights movement speed by default. I've experimented with the airborne class, but I didn't really see the benefits of it. It just helped me run faster and further, which I don't think really benefits something like this. You're going to need that ADS speed up time to really get the most out of this class. As far as the basic training is concerned, Hustle I think is the best basic training. Having the ability to reload faster on what is by default a very slow reload time, it will make you far more effective at running and gunning and being a bit quick and nimble across the map. Primed is a solid shout as well if you need that extra attachment for whatever reason. Maybe you want to stick something like high caliber on, increase your lethality in that way. You're finding one-on-ones are maybe not working out due to the flinch. It's definitely one to consider. If you do play more passively than something I'm suggesting here, Lookout's an option. It will give you more mini-map coverage, and seeing enemies at a distance will give you a chance to read the map and situations a bit more, so you can actually get into a good spot and take advantage. Overall, it's an okay gun. I don't think it's one you're really going to make use of. If the connections in this game were maybe a little bit better, it would have more presence on the actual game itself, but then again, once you do that, it could mean that other guns get just as good as well. So it's one of those guns I found that when I was using it, if I was on a good connection, having a good game, it was great. If I wasn't, I'd end up probably switching out to a different class altogether, especially against some really good players. So there you go. Those are my thoughts on the gun. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did miss any of the other videos, obviously check those out. They'll be in the description or annotations on the screen, and I'll see you later. Peace out.